research paper presentations over SPM Summit. This is the agenda. Today we have 4 research paper presentations, 3 before lunch and one of the papers post-lunch. So we will start with our first research paper presentations. Right. This is by Dr. Harbir Singh. Dr. Harbir Singh is working as an enterprise product coach with United Health Group, which is based out of Greater Noida. And he coaches, consults, trains leadership, mid-management, and teams on various aspects of products and agility. He has been with industry for the past 15 plus years and has done his thesis in strategic management and org behavior, right? So the paper is very, very interesting and truly in the current times of hyper competitiveness and digital revolution, firms are finding it extremely difficult to sustain their competitive advantage. And Dr. Harbir's paper draws from Barney's theory of resource-based view. And the title of his paper is How Product Leaders Can Contribute to Create Sustainable Competitive Advantage in Software Product-Based Organizations. Dr. Harbir, you have 15-20 minutes for your presentation, and we'll have a couple of questions that we can take post that. Welcome, and the stage is yours. Please go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'll quickly share my screen. Thanks for the introduction. Share screen. Just give me a moment. Give me a moment, please. I hope the screen is visible and my voice is clear.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Can you please? Yep.
I'll proceed. Yes, that's what I'm trying to do. Actually, the bar, yes, now it is there. All right. So, good morning, dear faculty members, colleagues, and my dear friends. So, the topic for today's presentation is how product leaders can contribute to create sustainable competitive advantage in software product-based organizations. To start with, I am Harbir. I'm an enterprise agile coach, enterprise product and agile coach. I'm working with the United Health Group or Optum, popularly known as Optum in Greater Noida. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present the paper. To start with, let's start with the background and the literature gaps. So as the topic talks about the sustainable competitive advantage, it is extremely important for us, for the purposes of this research, is to understand what exactly do we mean by sustainable competitive advantage. So as the popular theory from Michael Porter suggests that the competitive advantage is built by providing the better and improved value to your end customers, and that value should be better as compared to the competitors within the same industry. Now, how the competitive advantage is actually built and provided? It is provided by improving either the service or performance. And there are 2 dimensions to provide the sustainable competitive advantage. Either we can have the cost-based advantage or we can have the differentiation-based advantage. But cost being equally likely in most of the events, in this paper, we are focusing more on the differentiation side. So an organization needs to create a differentiation in terms of the service and performance so that it can provide the competitive advantage to the customers. Now, the competitive advantage is provided, but the next question that comes to our mind is that how to sustain the competitive advantage in the longer run. To sustain the competitive advantage in the longer run, Barney provided his theory called as the WIN model. So I have tried to integrate the WIN model. So what Barney says is that the competitive advantage is sustainable when its sources are valuable, rare, inimitable, non-substitutable, and causally ambiguous. So these, if any of the competitive advantage meets these parameters, then as per Barney, we can say that the competitive advantage is sustainable in nature. Now, coming to the role of the leaders in the software organizations, we have set the foundation of sustainable competitive advantage. Now we are trying to understand the role of leaders, and finally, we will connect the leaders with the sustainable competitive advantage to create the overall topic for the discussion. So the leaders in the software product-based organizations plays very critical and crucial roles. When we look at the literature, what I have identified is that the leaders are the drivers of the product. They build the product, they contribute at the very beginning, from the launch, from the pre-launch, from the development side, from the design side, to going forward towards the launch and post-launch and beyond that. So the entire product life cycle is closely governed and sometimes controlled by the leaders or by the product leaders in the software organizations. Not only did they contribute strongly on the overall product development and launch, they also contribute towards identifying the needs for change. The product development cannot be a constant thing. It has to change every moment because the external and internal forces are changing at any time and every time. So they need to change and adapt their product development process. When I say product development process, I technically mean that right from the inception, right from the concept stage, the inception stage, the MVP stage, the development stage, the design stage, the testing stage, the production stage, and launch and post-launch activities, they need to identify the blind spots. They need to identify where the changes are required so that they can change at the moment and then take the advantage of the changes. Finally, the leaders also contribute towards driving the product strategy. They have the capability and capacity to link the product strategy towards the organization strategy. They need to ensure that whatever product strategy they are formulating, the product strategy is being driven and contributing towards the overall strategy, overall success of the organization. So that clearly means that if the product leaders are playing that critical role, that clearly indicates that the product leaders could be playing the crucial role in the creation of sustainable competitive advantage for the organization also. But if I look at the literature, I am not able to find the specific points, the strong points that suggest that yes, the leaders are actually providing or contributing towards the sustainable competitive advantage. Hence I call it as a gap in the literature. So I have tried to fulfill this gap. And then that's the reason I formulated the research question as how product leaders can contribute to create sustainable competitive advantage in software product-based organizations. Now, looking at the research question itself, I have proceeded towards the methodology part. Just give me a moment. All right. So I have adopted the qualitative methodology because the qualitative methodology demands the closeness of the researcher with the research phenomena. The current data or the current situation, the current context of the research cannot be manipulated, and the closeness of the researcher is required. And the question type is how question type. So looking at these three dimensions, I have chosen the qualitative methodology. The data was collected from October 21 till March 21 from the India Development Center of one of the product-based organizations with 2 lakh plus employees and revenue of more than 500 million USD. I have not quoted the name of the organization because I have signed the NDA with the organization and they say me that please don't quote our name outside. So that's the reason I have not quoted the name of the organization. The organization was selected because I was access to that organization. Who are the key informants? I have actually taken the semi-structured interviews and the participant or non-participant observations as well. So the key informants from whom I have collected the data, from whom I had interviews, were the product managers, engineering managers, and product directors. I have taken two different sampling approaches, the purposive sampling and the theoretical sampling. Purposive intentionally identifies your key informants, who are the right informants, who are suiting, who can provide you more and more in-depth information about the phenomena that you are researching. Theoretical sampling I have chosen. Why? Because it is an iterative process. It tells you that, who are the other people, where are the other areas where you can ponder, where you can look into, so that you can make your research more and more stronger. So it is an iterative process. It is a learning process while you go on the research phenomena, while you are actually conducting your data collection and data analysis. The mode of the data collection was the semi-structured interviews for about half an hour to 1 hour per contestant, and the participant observation that I have conducted with few of the meetings where I got an access. The data analysis has been performed based upon the grounded theory, two-level coding approach. Moving on. This is a sample of the key informant demographics. As we can clearly see that I have interviewed product managers, engineering managers, and product directors with a specific age, education, gender, location, total work experience in current role, and so on. The relationship that they share with each other is that they were colleagues within the same organization. Now, what exactly I have identified once I have collected the data and once I have conducted data analysis as per the grounded theory two-level coding approach, I have identified the themes. So I hope we can see the screen. So I have identified 4 different themes while I have conducted the coding, the data analysis. The first is the adapting continuously. The second is connecting the dots. The third is developing the value delivery mindset and implementing invention. So to answer the research question, the product leaders can contribute towards providing the sustainable competitive advantage by adapting continuously, by connecting the dots, by developing value delivery mindset, and finally by implementing invention. The second column in the table talks about the level 2 codes. I will just talk about 1 or 2 columns, and because I will be covering these details in the upcoming slides. So for adapting continuously, the level 2 codes that I have identified are becoming co-agents of change, creating right customer product team equilibrium, sensing opportunities for change. For connecting the dots, connecting external internal environment, instrumenting multi-way feedback mechanism, and using external environment as per internal benefits, and so on. The third column talks about the mapping of the sustainable competitive advantage constructs, the WRIN model, valuable, rare, inimitable, non-substitutable, and causally ambiguous. I have mapped these variables with the level 2 codes. And finally, these variables are mapped to service performance and value. That means that these taken together contributes towards sustainable competitive advantage. The fifth column talks about the distinct literature mapping. For example, the second level 2 code was distinct. I was not able to find this code in the literature, whereas the first level 2 code of the first theme I was able to find. The third level 2 code I was also able to find, and so on. And then finally, from the last 4 columns point of view, we have the mapping and alignment, whether these level 2 codes were in line with the product managers, with what product managers said, with what engineering managers said, with what product directors said, and whether I was able to find sometimes or many times these level 2 codes in the meetings that I have attended or not. So essentially what I'm trying to do is combine everything together, building the chain of evidences. Moving on, how I have established the trustworthiness in the qualitative research. So the trustworthiness criteria had 4 dimensions: the truth value, the consistency, neutrality, and applicability. By truth value, we essentially mean the credibility, and how the credibility is established. The credibility is established by doing the triangulation and purposeful sampling. We talked about the purposeful sampling and the triangulation. We have seen the example of the triangulation in the previous slide. In this slide, we are comparing the data and with the different sources. So we are trying to do the data triangulation, and we are validating whether our themes or level 2 code stand strong or not. So the consistency has been again which validated in terms of the dependability, and the method is triangulation. The neutrality is confirmed by confirmability, which is again validated through triangulation. Finally, the applicability is validated through transferability and has actually been done on the ground by using the purposeful sampling. Moving on the implications part, here I would want to spend a little bit more time because I want to discuss the themes that I have identified and the learning to the organizations and to the leaders. So looking at the first theme, the adapting continuously. So leaders need to become the co-agents of change. What they say, what the leaders say is that, there are no single change agents in the organization. We together have to work. We also need to act as the change agents, and we need to create the customer, product, and product team equilibrium, because these three should be tightly bound together so that we understand the overall phenomena of the product development end to end, from the outside sources to the inside sources. And they need to sense the opportunities of the change. Connecting the dots, in the connecting the dots theme, what they mention is that they need to connect the external environment with the internal environment. When we say the external environment, essentially it includes the industry, it includes the competitive environment, it includes the customer, market, and behaviors and all that. When we say internal environment, we mean the environment inside the organization, the way the leaders behave, the way the teams behave, the way they look from the product development point of view, the way they look at adapting the changes as and when it is needed, and so on. They also talk about instrumenting multi-way feedback. A lot of leaders were particular in the sense that they say that, we are leaders, we agree, but it's not that we always provide the feedback. We should also get the feedback from the customers, not only from the customers, but from our employees, from our team members as well. So that it's a two-way, it's a multi-way feedback. Using the external environment as per the internal benefits. What the leaders say and what they also talk in a couple of meetings is that they can't change, they can't have any control on the external environment. How the economy is behaving, how the competitors are behaving, how the market is changing, they don't have the control, but they definitely have the control on how they adapt, how they behave, how they align themselves as per the external situations, as per the external environment. So they need to adapt themselves they need to change the internal structures, the internal alignment as per the external environments. Developing value delivery mindset. The leaders talk about delivering the intended value. They say that the definition of value is really changing. The thing that we meant by value a couple of years before, the same thing doesn't apply today, because the value is more customer driven, customer centric, rather than engineering driven or rather than the technology driven. They also talk about delivering the product market fit. And they talk that you have to deliver the product market fit at the right time, because the timing is extremely important in the industry. You have to not only to build the product at the right format, right shape, but also you need to deliver the value at the right time. So the contribution of the timing is extremely important. So these three values are actually intermingled in nature: the intended value, the product market fit, and the delivering the value on time. So implementing invention is the last theme. Here they talk about collecting and using the data fittingly. Lot of data is the world actually belongs to the data. A lot of analytics is being done across the world, not only on the product side, but outside the product as well. But the more important point that the leaders mentioned while I interviewed them is that you should be smart enough to understand how to use the data, how to get the blind spots, and how to get the learning opportunities. Not only that, once you got the learning opportunities, what exactly are you trying to do with that? Are you done with the data, or you are actually changing the behavior, running here and there, trying to change the behavior, trying to change and adapt yourself. That is even more important. Experiment regularly. When they say experiment regularly, they means that once they get the data, they need to do some experiments, the internal experiments, the behavioral experiments, the design experiments, the engineering experiments, the leadership experiments, in order to see whether what is working or what is not working. Finally, they talk about fostering the customer product culture. A lot of organizations are tech-driven organizations. Few of the organizations are product-centric or product-driven organizations. They say that they need to have a match. They need to have a proper hybrid stance in nature. They also need to be they need to be highly product focused, but at the same time, they should also look on the engineering side, and they need to balance the equation. So these are few of the learnings that are there from the product leader side and from the organization side. Moving ahead, there are a couple of limitations and there are a lot of good opportunities for the future research. As I mentioned that I have only selected one product-based organization where I got access to, and I have collected the data from the same organization. The future research could extend this research by including several other organizations in several other areas. The location of the organization was Delhi NCR only, although this research was not focused on the impact of the location on the sustainable competitive advantage. But if somebody wants to conduct this research outside Delhi NCR or outside India, they can do that. There are only few selected key informants based upon the sampling criteria. For example, the product managers, engineering managers, and product directors. For the future research, they might want to include a couple of other people, CEOs, CXOs, the directors of engineering, and so on. Finally, the methodology that I have executed was the qualitative methodology. So the statistical generalization is out of scope, because in the qualitative research, we don't talk about the statistical generalization, rather we talk about the conceptual generalization. So I have just interviewed 11 participants and participated in the 8 different meetings. So we can't talk about the statistical generalization here. So if somebody wants to build the hypothesis based upon the themes that I have identified, they can build the hypothesis and they can include the larger mass of the people to validate that hypothesis from the quantitative point of view. Finally, I'll talk about the conclusion. At the very beginning, I've started, the current investigation was conducted to identify the key themes on the topic of how the product leaders can contribute towards the creation of sustainable competitive advantage in software product-based organizations. We have identified and broken the definition of the competitive advantage, the sustainable competitive advantage for the purpose of the current research. The themes that we have identified were mapped to the sustainable competitive advantage constructs, so that everything is tightly bound together, and of course with the service performance and value, and the literature mapping and the contribution of the research alignment with the level 2 codes. The level 2 codes were identified as a analysis from the grounded theory point of view. In summary, we can say that the paper argued that the leaders can contribute towards the creation of the sustainable competitive advantage by adopting certain behaviors. What those behaviors are? Those behaviors are the level 2 codes. So broadly visualizing, sorry, my voice is echoing. So broadly visualizing the outcomes of the current research suggests that yes, the leaders can contribute towards the building of the sustainable competitive advantage to the product-based organizations. More importantly, the result focuses on the evidence for the critical role of the leaders. They are the driving forces. They are not just the product leaders, they are the driving forces, and they can do a lot more than what they are doing right now. So from the leadership qualities point of view, from the behaviors point of view, to underwrite to provide the sustainable competitive advantage to the software product-based organizations. With this, I rest my case. The presentation is done. I hope I'm on time. And I have before we go for the Q&A session, I have the appendix. I just want to inform that I have the appendix. If it is required, I can go. So this is the sample interview questions that are there. If somebody wants to ask the question, we can go about it. And the next slide talks about the research philosophy that I have taken. But I will only go to these slides when if I get the questions. So thank you so much for the opportunity that has been provided to me. I'm open to any questions and suggestions and feedback.
Thank you. Any questions from audience? Sure.
Dr. Habir, firstly, very well done presentation. Sorry, I came a little late, so it might happen that you repeat yourself.
Sure.
Regarding next steps, you said that we can also do quantitative study, which is a nice suggestion. But have you looked on existing scales? Because if there is no scale existing, the research for scale development itself will be a long journey. That was question number one. And question number two is a little bit broader. I mean, I have been playing role of product manager for now 18 years in different aspects of product management. And I always believe that product management role is also a transformational leadership role.
Exactly.
So from a numerological validity, product leader will also be somewhere similar to a transformation leader.
Yes.
If the scale doesn't exist, can we borrow the scale of transformation leadership for product leadership as well? I mean, if any comments on this dimension will be helpful.
Thank you so much for your question. It's an excellent question. I have actually not delved down into the scales that are available, but I am pretty much sure that the literature is extremely vast. I have conducted my doctoral thesis in the comparative advantage area as well. So definitely I can say that there are a lot of scales which are available. One scale that I recall is Herfindahl scale. I think if you can search in the Google, you will find out the Herfindahl scale. It is a very popular scale in the comparative advantage area. And I also posted this question in the ResearchGate, and a lot of people have responded there. So yes, the scales are available as far as the comparative advantage is concerned. And as you rightly mentioned, that the product leaders are transformational leaders as well. So that is what the current research is also revealing, that they can do a little bit more than what they are doing right now. And they should adapt more and more as per the changing circumstances, because they have the authority, they have the knowledge, they have the power, and they have the potential to change the game that is going on currently. So yes, there could be a lot of scales which are possible, not only on the transformation side, not only on the sustainable competitive advantage side, but also on the change management side and also on the behavior side. So yes, there are a lot of scales available. The reason that I have not looked into that is that my research don't focus on the scales. My research focuses on the pure qualitative area, and I have to start and I have to stick to the research question that I have formulated. So that is the reason I have chosen one path and I have followed that path only. So thank you for that. I hope you got the answer.
So just one comment on the presentation. I really liked the qualitative research paradigm that you undertook. So did you by any chance, because I've seen that the sample included 11 participants, right?
Right.
So did you maybe look into the theoretical saturation aspect of the research methodology that you took? Theoretical saturation as in...
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. The theoretical saturation was attained, and that is the point where I have to stop. And I've also mentioned that
Right.
in one of the slides, because I was not getting new data. So when I don't get the new data, that means the people are repeating what I'm saying again and again. So I have to stop there, but I have to continue on the product director side. I have to continue on the meeting side. And once I get the theoretical saturation over there, I have to stop, and then I have to validate the entire data, what I have found out. So yes, the moment when I reach at the themes level, my data saturation was reached.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Just one or two comments. One was, can you actually link this to the outcomes that you have come up with to various stages of product development? What is more relevant during idea generation, implementation, scaling up, And could it lead to a set of possible propositions which further research can take up, since it's a qualitative based analysis? Just a suggestion. Probably you can look at it when you're pushing it some journals, right?
Absolutely. I think it's a very great, comment and suggestion. Thank you so much for that. I would certainly want to implement that going down the line.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Harpreet. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so we'll go ahead with our second research paper presentation. This is by Mr. Surya Niragatti and Dr. Ranjit Kumar Deuri. Mr. Surya Niragatti is a skilled researcher in user experience management of software products, and he has expertise in organizational behavior, and he specializes in healthcare, IT management, digital health and digital marketing, and he's pursuing his PhD in University of Hyderabad. And Dr. Ranjit Kumar is an assistant professor at the School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad. He has very strong experience in healthcare management, research and training, and he brings his unique perspective to his academic role. Right. And given that, healthcare sector has always been a little skeptical in adopting digital technologies, there's a very interesting paper, right, with India announcing National Digital Health Blueprint. They are looking at neural networks based model to predict intention to use these EHR records by hospital staff. We are really looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and delegates, and my presenter, Mr. Surya Niragatti. So, what we know is that adoption in healthcare technology and basically, IT and EHR play a major role in hospitals and quality of care. So far, NABH and JCI, the international standards, are brought here too. So we must be adopting these things for accuracy, saving millions of lives, and also in our public health programs. This, when we talk with the professionals, those who are making this EHR, they say that, please help us. We have fantastic softwares, state-of-the-art technology, which are borrowed from different parts and tested, time tested, and saved also lives. But in Indian setup, these things have not been adopted. They say that please suggest us few things where we can market these things to the hospitals, to public health authorities, to governments, and to different people. In fact, if we use the technology EHR in hospital, lives can be saved. Basically, the accuracy rate will go by 20-30%, and the decision-making capability will also increase. This is the problem what we found in the from the field, and also talk with the different qualitative studies from hospital authorities that this is a major problem. So government of India also come up with a plan like National Digital Health Mission along with its blueprint much earlier. In fact, from 2010 onwards, different companies like Infosys, Wipro, all are trying to adopt and make the system very much similar to the United States. Whatever has been happening in Obamacare or say in the hospitals, in the governance system, healthcare governance system in the US, those things should become here. But only a law or a sort of achievement that was happened in 2017. But after 5 years also, if we assess, except few achievements in COVID time and others, we have not achieved much. Our majority of the hospital, except 5-10%, are not really adopting this. So we also found different studies in abroad and India provide this thing. I again invite my colleague to present the further findings of this study. Please.
This study from 2016 says that in emergency department of hospital, they before implementing EHR, that is electronic health record, they have less number of diagnoses in the list. After implementing the EHR, they say that there is increase of diagnosis, which gives the accuracy in the status of the patient, where the status of patient, whether he is diabetic or whether he is affected with medical history is affected with other diseases or not. So there are many studies which says that EHR implementation is the best thing, and some studies found that EHR implementation, the young staff is adopting the more EHR, and some studies examined the EHR in so yeah, some studies adopted technology adoption models and UTAT models to study the adoption of EHR. And before going to research, I want to explain what is EHR. EHR is an electronic health record which is maintained digitally. All the patient record from the admission to the discharge. Every detail of a patient will be maintained digitally and used by the doctors, nurses, and staff in managers in the hospital in different way in providing healthcare. And so when it comes to the adoption of healthcare records, digital health records, so the main thing with IT managers and IT software developers facing is how they are perception of the end users of EHR. So that is where we got the problem statement for this research. So there are many there are many managers as our co author told that many IT managers they're asking for that how the employees are end users are taking it, how is it training is needed, or what should be the improvements in the electronic health records to be done in the hospitals. So we and the earlier studies took the techniques, analysis techniques that SPM, like structural equation model, and there are some studies took regression models, logistic regression, all these things. But when it comes to the perception, behavior, all these things, it is very important to keenly observe every response of the end users. So we came through this neural network approach. It's a artificial neural network. Artificial neural networks is a AI approach which estimates every response of the end user, like whether he is feeling easy or he is feeling the difficult in the EHR, how he is feeling. So those we found many. There are other studies also which included ANN model, and this is how ANN model looks like. It's a same like human brain neuron. One from the one neuron to another neuron. The information will be passed from one neuron to another neuron. And there are three layers in this technique. One is input layer, second is hidden layer, and third is output layer. So some studies on ANN told that study in 2015, the author told that ANN model is providing more effective results when compared to SPM models. And our research is more concentrated on helping the IT managers in hospital and healthcare software developers, which helps them like how the end user is feeling and how where the end user is facing the problem and which department they are facing and what is the age they are adopting. So our objectives of this study comes to understand the healthcare workers' perception of the use of EHR providing healthcare in hospitals, and to analyze the factors influencing the those adoption, and to build a robust ANN model to predict the adoption intention to use by end users. Method we like when we come to technology adoption models, there are many variables they took. But with the literature review and theoretical support, we got these 5 main main variables, which are like perception towards the device compatibility. It might be any software device or hardware device. So device compatibility, device usefulness, whether it is useful to my job or not, and ease of use, whether it is easy to adopt, easy to use or not. So then fastness, my work can be done fast with this EHR or any device or not. So and resources, whether the all the resources available to this technology or device are available which affect the adoption of the any technology or a device. So these are the variables we have. There are input variables and output variable. We have gender, age, job position. We have taken these demographic variables, and we took in new way, we took that time on the EHR, like how much time they are investing, how much time they are investing the time on EHR. That is what new variable we took. And we have collected the data from different multi-specialty hospitals of Hyderabad, who with the healthcare providers in the hospitals. We got 235 responses, and we got 210 responses are valid one. And we have, as we shown the variables, we have some are 7-point Likert scale and some are categorical. So with this, we divided. There are we divided 2 models. One model. Model A is with demographic one, like gender, type of job position, age, and time on EHR. And second model we have included with the perception variables, like compatibility, resources, fastness, easiness, and usefulness. So this study is done with the ANN model, which is done in the SPSS, which provides its automatic ANN model. If we provide the input variables and which are dependent variable. So there are factors and covariance in while giving the input. Factors are the categorical variables and covariance are the scale variables. And we have gender and type of job position as categorical variable, and others are covariance. So this is the overview of this model, which is having model A with demographic variables and model B with perception variables. Coming to the results, we have gender 104 or 49% are female and 50% with male. And age, we have more in 21 to 25 age. And next is type of job position. That is, we have to type of job position from ISO standards. One is regular. Regular is somewhere like administration staff who do the admission for the patients, who books the appointment for the doctor appointment for the patients. Specialists are doctors, nurses, and lab technicians. These 3 comes under the specialist. And managers are floor managers, bed managers, and the IP managers. Though IP is inpatient managers, outpatient managers. Those comes under the managers. And we found that there are people, there are healthcare workers who is using EHR for 2 to 3 hours. The more percentage of people are using 2 to 3 hours. Model A results shows that gender, time on EHR. This is a new outcome we got. Like time on EHR is predicting more on this intention to use. So we can see like people who are investing 2 to 3 hours on EHR, they are more in adopting the EHR. And age, we have young age, which we have engaged people in the hospital who are adopting EHR. So there are two main variables which are predicting the adoption of EHR. That is time and the age. So model B results are here. So we got compatibility is the first variable which is predicting variable. Like this is the sensitivity analysis which estimates the importance of predicting the output. So compatibility is the first variable which is like predicting the intention to use the EHR. And easiness is one thing. Easiness is the taking second place, and usefulness is taking the third place. And so as we see these results, time on EHR is mainly predicting the EHR adoption. So it is requested, I mean, it is suggested to the IT managers, healthcare IT managers in hospitals to make sure that look into the time they are investing on the EHR. They are investing time on EHR, usage of EHR. And it is also suggested to train them how much time they have to implement use the EHR, and train them how the actual usage, like if it is needed to only appointment for the patient, appointment of patient, it should be used for that. That is what one suggestion. And second is compatibility. Like it is suggested to the healthcare IT software developers that whether it is look into the software, that whether it is compatible with their job. Like it might be appointing, it may be taking the appointments, it may be providing the bed, checking the bed availability and providing the bed to the patient. And it can be booking the lab test to the patient. And second thing is, and also if you see in healthcare hospitals, most of nurses and doctors are not technical background. So they have to feel it should be easy to adopt, easy to use. That is where our output also suggests. So software developers look into the software that it should be easy to adapt. Like they have to understand the terminology of the software also. And our software developers also should understand the terminology of medical terminology. Like if doctor wants to type a treatment, he should be ready. He should have the ICD code into that, so that he can just type the code and write that this treatment should be done for the patient. That is where our research helps in the. So this is the main output. Like compatibility, easiness, and usefulness is the main thing we drawn from this study. We are going to study more. Like it's like we are taking more samples from the healthcare of the different cities, hospitals from the different cities. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Some questions and probably some recommendations. Right?
Sure.
So you come up with two different models.
Yeah.
So basically, this seems to be a paradigm shift, right? Most of our researchers is still into econometric modeling. You're saying probably you'll get better insights if you move towards this kind of, heavy data science using ANN kind of models. If I were an econometric person, I would combine the two models.
Oh.
Call the first variables as control variables. The rest of them are your independent variables drawn from TAM. And you have a dependent variable. So is there a reason to separate this out? Right? So that is the thing, because I want the insights together. I want to see what, and your time on EHR and intention to use EHR. So there is no causal relationship, right? So the more there is intention, I would spend more time. And if I am spending more time, probably I'll see more than. So that's one. And so since all of these are combined, and now that you have these models for predicting technology, adoption or usage, right? How can other product managers benefit from such digitization, ANN for digitization? Right? Some key takeaways for product management.
Okay.
So you can first answer the empirical side and then we can get to the product manager.
Okay. First question is why I took the demographics. So to mainly divide the variables which we get from the theoretical support. That is why we divided from demographics to the we can proceed with
yeah, you should combine is my guess.
And
Yeah,
second question is
yeah. So that EHR usage and
So coming to the time. So we interestingly saw that if it is they are using EHR for the perfect job, like if they are appointing, they are using for the appointment, they are just using for the appointment. So we took only that time. It's not like they are opening the system and sitting idle. We have estimated the time only when they use actual usage of that EHR. There comes the 2 to 3 hours. It's not more than 5 years like that. That is where we.
Actually, what if one is accustomed with those systems of using, they will be using it, analyzing it, applying it also. That is the main intention later. That's why hospitals need to train their people to get accustomed faster. Then they will get the result.
The second one, how any other digitization effort, how can we model help product managers understand?
Yeah. So this ANN model predicts every response, ma'am. Like if you see SPM models and regression models, they take the mean of every response. Mean of every variable. But in these neural networks, it will take the every response and analyze the output. If you look into the we
basically optimize the cost function. So,
yes.
So how many data points? Currently, the ANN model that you train, what is the number of data points?
210. 210. Yeah.
Probably increasing that.
Yeah. Next further. Yes. That's true. There are adopting this cloud computing also. And safety and security in medical records is a main challenge now. So I mean, our further study is also going to be on blockchain in healthcare. So that is what blockchain in healthcare, which will be useful to address this safety and security of the patient records. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
People compliant in Indian software guys are also doing.
Yeah, they start.
There is more now, I don't know. But they are saying that we are doing it to believe us. Because US is there, so we do it. Later on in India, when India can form or something.
You were talking about compatibility. There is one more term called interoperability.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
since you've spoken about ICD,
Mhm.
right now it is ICD 11, which is worldwide, it's been followed.
Yes.
And also, if we talk about images like MRI, CT scans, there is a combination of text and images, which is
Yes.
actually captured through PACS server
Yeah.
in
yeah,
radiology.
Yeah.
So for those data, like since ma'am also was asking about the privacy, security and all, and how you are actually means thinking that yes, people will be adopting more in terms of using those data, and doctors will be more actually not getting susceptible or not getting into skeptical, like their jobs are going on because it's AI once again.
So, yeah, when it comes to privacy and all these things, we observed that end users are not worried about the privacy. The hospital management is worried about the privacy. So when we ask the question to the end users in the hospitals, like appointment booking person or the doctor or nurse, they are telling that my management will look into that security and safety. So yeah, it's as I told, it's a big challenge in the healthcare about the safety and security.
Because for everyone's information here, the thing is last year, Dr. Lal Pathlab's case has happened. And even AIMS case recently, 2 months back.
Yeah.
So 200 crores has been like they were asking the hackers. So for that, actually, what we supposed to do?
Yes.
Yeah, and according, sir, your question for interoperability.
Yeah.
Within India, groups are there. Conglomerate hospitals, there are 10, 15 chain of hospitals are there. They are also not fearing that interoperability. One Apollo's doctor cannot access other Apollo's data.
No.
That algorithm can be used by anyone in the world.
Hmm.
Like GitHub. Like GitHub thing actually, even man was talking about almost similar thing. That people can use, they don't have to start from the scratch.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can take up your algorithm.
That's true.
They can train the model and after that they can improve it further. So it is just like that. But the thing is, there is also almost actually we are thinking of one thing in data privacy.
Yeah.
Because all patient data are going everywhere, right? It is going into the server where you don't even realize like how it can be used. Can be maybe funding for the previous.
Absolutely.
No.
Insights at one node are kind of shared with us.
That's-
Not the data, but the insight.
Almost.
Yeah. US is applying this. Hospitals, yeah. It's happening in US actually, where they will have a unique number for the patient. And everywhere, if the patient goes and provide the unique number, he will the doctor can get the medical history of his, like where he got operated, any surgeries or any treatments. That is, yeah.
The Indian government also able to create some 10 lakh or something unique numbers.
Yeah.
Than that.
That is where India is going. Like they are creating a healthcare ecosystem where all the IT software developers also can use that database to create the healthcare softwares.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's yeah. First slide is ours. Yeah. Sorry.
Health infrastructure.
Yeah, ABDM you're talking about, right? Right now, that's ABDM.
Yeah. Ayushman Bharat Digital Health Mission. Yeah.
And one observation, in this case, actually, owners, more of the confidence, take into confidence, because they will do it within their facility. Government, no doubt it will happen.
Once this technical stack comes out in the public. I know for sure that.
It's like UPI.
Yes. I was.
The main challenge is no one is telling, no one can conclude who is the owner of that record. Is it the patient or is it the hospital?
Ideally, it should be the patient. I think that's where we.
Public-private partnership.
Huh.
Government also asking for startups to participate in that.
Yes,
It's
yes.
also ethics of machine and ethics of.
Ah.
So I think you can answer that in very well. No, I wish
And-
I had, I had some access to some of the. NBFC started, technical started. They are doing a very common platform, digital platform. And most of the service providers, including the hospitals, life sciences, pharmacy, thinking only, the service providers, mostly integrating into the platform. Core platform is still being offered by the government. And that was the plan. I worked on,
So you should tell sir about the security and safety then.
Then it becomes data.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Next, in them, there are softwares, artificial intelligence can trace.
it can rebuild the profile based on the rest.
Yeah, that's true.
Those are the concerns. Definitely, I'm sure they exist everywhere, wherever digital is being, Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much. But
we-
I see it more as research moving towards more data science than econometric models right now.
That's true, ma'am.
That is my take from the presentation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We are happy that our research made this much discussion.
Oh, yeah, we are very happy to. Thank you. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and have our third presentation from Dr. Shweta Chowdhury Tota. She holds a PhD in marketing from Louisiana State University and also has an MBA from Ford School of Management, New Delhi. She has, worked towards enriching the lives of college students at James Madison University, Virginia, and at the University of San Francisco since 2004. She's a researcher who has pursued cutting-edge and successful research agenda that includes several major streams, such as behavioral decision-making, relative thinking, advertising, branding, and ethnography. And no doubt she brings us a very interesting topic today, with high penetration of mobiles. This particular paper demonstrates mobile ethnography as a new tool to launch an MVP, and based on that, product launch, conduct a product launch. Thank you, Shweta. Thank you for presenting today. You can start. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. And thank you, everybody. I'm really excited to be here presenting. And I know this is technology and software and all these things coming together. And then there is academics here. And very interestingly, my husband is also from IIM Bangalore, 97 batch. So it brings home some good memories. So I'm very excited to present this here. And this is, I know, mostly the industry conference, and I'm so happy that we are some academics here as well. This paper is more on the conceptual side, but has been applied. And I have my wonderful, oops, why is it moving on its own? and my wonderful colleague and Joanna Jones, who's actually done all the implementation part of it. I'm not going to take credit for it, but we are working together very cohesively on my things coming from the conceptual side, and she implements these things, because as academics we don't have access to some of the tools that the industry has. So I've partnered with her, and I was speaking with Hara a little while ago, and he was like, industry stays separate and academia stays separate. And which is very true. Academics are always a little behind the industry, right? We don't have access to all the tools that some of the wonderful industry people have, and vice versa. Sometimes they don't understand the concept. So here I was trying to bring things together, working with Joanna. So she provides the applied part of it, and I provide the conceptual part of it. I know most of the things done, but when it comes to a lot more detailed implementation, I will try to answer your questions, but if it's more detailed than beyond what I know, I will basically send you an email talking to Joanna and getting back to you. So that's the whole premise of this. It's a wonderful, it's an under-researched topic, I feel, and in the academia, and probably still getting warm, I feel, in certain parts of the world when we talk about mobile. Why is it moving on its own? Sorry, I don't know why is it moving on its own, the slides? It's just, do you know? It is, yeah, okay. So I'll use the mouse, yeah. So anyway, the mobile ethnography, totally almost unknown to academia because we don't have the tools. It is being used by the industry, and I was very curious. And once I finish the presentation, I would love to hear from you on how we in India think about mobile ethnography here, to what extent is it being used here, and your thoughts on its application with other launches and softwares and products. So let's move forward. And I'm gonna, 1 second, yeah. So we all know what's ethnographic research, right? Oh my God, this goes on moving. I don't know why it's, yeah, what is making the slides move? Yeah, so thank you. I hope it won't move, right? Okay, otherwise I'll get out of the presentation mode. So basically the whole, I mean, I read in one of my PhD papers that the very act of measurement changes an individual's behavior, right? If you, let's say, if you want to see how I beautify my face, right? If I know that you're watching me, I'll get conscious, and then I'll try to be the participant, and I'll modify my behaviors. Ethnographic research has its own merits, that we are with the participant, or we are with the consumer and user, and we are watching them use or consume the product as they're using it. So it's in a natural setting. In the moment feedback we are able to get. I think it's one of the best methods to get that in-depth research, but the problem is how much time can we use with an individual participant? And I can spend 1 month with you seeing how you would actually do your grooming. But I've spent 1 month on one participant, that's too time consuming. A very good detail. So we all know all about that, right? More importantly, it's in the consumption, in the moment feedback is what we are interested in getting, because I don't want to measure you and then you change your behaviors. So, oops, moving again. So mobile ethnography, it basically is a self-operated mobile technology. And we wanted to capture the in-the-moment feedback. Focus groups can't do that. I'll have 8 people sitting in a table, we discuss, and yes, I watch. We can go in depth with topics, but again, people not using the product at the same time, same with interviews. So it is this gap between that traditional ethnographic research, where we are with one participant, too time consuming, too expensive, too costly. I have a bunch of slides, so I might skip some of the slides, but I'll just give you a big general overview. So traditional ethnography, while very rich, is very time consuming. All these methods have their own shortcomings. Mobile ethnography is basically that, so first of all, we are all always on our phones. Everybody, I mean, people say, research shows that 85% of the people take their phones to the bathrooms also. We don't want to breathe without the phones. So everybody has a phone. A lot of products are being launched to the phones. And it's not a very big deal if I'm using something and you know when I'm using that one particular thing on my phone. Let's say you launch an app and you want me to use it. I'm your end user. And you say, hey, you can pay me for participating in this research. That's what we did. But when I'm in the app, you can track my movements while I'm in the app. And you can see, hey, let's say, imagine Facebook, right? We all use Facebook. When I go to notifications and I scroll up and down, you will see that Shweta is scrolling up and down. Then I clicked on one link. You will know that Shweta clicked on that one link. You can say, hey, Shweta, can I just chat with you for a moment? I'll say, sure. It's not a big deal. So, 30-second chat wouldn't be a big deal. Or let's say you will give me a tech check and say, when you're very excited, take a video or do an audio recording or take a video recording. Or if you're chatting with me, you can say, hey, can you type a message on what you just did? Let me know. I have no problem saying, oh, this was great and this was terrible. This was horrible. I don't like this app. So you will get my in the moment feedback. And that's where this whole thing is coming from. And there are a bunch of things. So I'll walk you through that. ME mobile ethnography is 3 to 5 times cheaper than traditional ethnography. So that's one thing. We can also, in this research, we had 25 participants using the app, which we were trying to launch for 1 week. So we had live streaming from 25 participants. I know I'm going ahead of my slides. We had live streaming from 25 participants, and we were able to track their movements on the app that was being launched. So it was very interesting. Let me move forward and I'll show you more things here. One of the things that we are talking about is that mobile ethnography is very important, we realized, and it's pretty cool, is that, let's say if you say, Shweta, use the app and I'll interview you at the end of the week. Can you please tell me how you did things? I'll say, sure, maybe I can make a note of it, but it still will not be as rich in data because I will have forgotten things here. And Joanna also thinks this, and we also think so, that we are not accurate in recalling things the next day. Many times I have a very exciting idea, a research idea, and one evening, and as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, let me write it tomorrow. And morning, boom, it's gone. So our recall, is so poor the next day that we forget everything. So unless you write it down, but if you tell me, hey, you're using this portion of the app, can I interject you now? I will be even richer in data. So that's where this theme comes from. So Joanna Jones, my co-author, is from InterQ, and she implemented the research. Of course, we tried to design everything together, but she did all the implementation. But here's what she says, and I'm sure you all will agree, that we have become so comfortable with our cell phones that asking them to take a snap, a photo, or a quick video when I'm doing something is not a very big deal. 30-second video is not such a big deal. You don't have to go out with the subjects, but you're always looking over the shoulder. It's almost like I'm looking over your shoulder to see what are you doing on your phone, but I'm virtual, you're virtual. So geographical boundaries are not a concern. So we had people all over the US who participated in the research. They did not have to be based in San Francisco. So a little bit more generalizability comes in. And this was the app, Vimy, that was developed by a company. And this was a few years ago, about 4 years ago. And they had a bunch of features, like on our cell phones. For example, you can use your folders, documents, everything. So they had a folders document. You had everything under one app. All the social media was in the same app. There was messaging also in the same app, and a bunch of things. So they thought this could be the one-stop shop, and they developed this app, Vimy. Sounded very exciting. But if we launch it, how will the app be? Should we launch it full? I love my app. I developed it. Should I launch it to the public, or should I first fix it? So this was the idea, to see that how are the people taking it. So we had, basically, we wanted to get the inside of the participants' minds as they were using the app. All right. So in this case, we recruited students. Millennials are usually the largest adopters, initial early adopters of an app. So don't confuse them with convenience sample here, because they were the target segment, and then others, people working in industry and anywhere, would have used the app. So we recruited them, and these are the stats. We have 90.3% people are the highest users of the apps, and these are millennials. And we all know that, right? I mean, they will first use it, and once you know that it's really, really good, then we oldies will start adopting the app. So we recruited 25 students. All of them were pre-screened with a bunch of criteria. I'm not going to get into all the details here as to who will be the participant. And they had to use Vimy for a week, and they answered questions throughout. So we paid them $100 to be participating in for a week. Nobody would do it for free, not even students. So they were paid. And $100 is not bad money to just use an app and see what they think. So we recruited students all over United States, and they had to use the app for a period of 7 days. And then they had to launch the app. I'll actually show you more in a bit. And we had given them specific dates. They actually had homework and assignments actually based on that, like take a video of this. And so it was very structured, very detailed, and very clearly laid out. And if this gives you a better idea, then this is what it is. So if you see here, these are the steps. And I'm sure I'm going more into methodology here right now, because you will have questions on how did you do this and what was exactly done. So the client was, let me get my mouse. The client was Vimy, okay? They hired us as the researchers. So 2A was, we understood the app, we connected with Vimy, they gave us all the things. And we also in 2B is connected with a mobile ethnography tracker, app tracker called Over the Shoulder. It's a company actually, Over the Shoulder. So if we want to look over the shoulder into our participants for anything now, any research, any software things. So we had the OTS, Over the Shoulder, and we had the new app Vimy. Once we had these two things set up well together, we recruited these students who are the potential users. And the students, they downloaded the over-the-shoulder tracker. So they had to download two things, the OTS over the shoulder, and they had to use the app. This was going on concurrently. So over the shoulder, what this company does, I think there's one more company, I'm forgetting the name right now. They let you get into the participant's phone only in the app that they want to use. So this was told very clearly to students, hey, we are not in your phone. If you're doing whatever videos or whatever on your social media, we are not going to be able to see it. So rest assured, that way it's anonymous. And even the whole thing was made anonymous. So you will not know that Shweta is using the app, but somebody used the app. So that was told very clearly to them. And that's step number 5. And once we got all of this, we got the participants' feedback, and then we made recommendations to Vimy. So this is the flow chart, the methodology flow chart. I made it for you all so that it was easier to follow. And these were the steps. They had to download it. I kind of have walked into the things. We gave them all the things. Before they started using the app, both the apps, we did, for 24 hours, we did something called the tech checks to see that they understood what is to be done in the app and how is over the shoulder to be used, so that they knew that what are the steps and what is exactly to be done. We did not want to start the exercise with people wondering, hey, how do I use Vimy? Or what is over the shoulder? We haven't downloaded it. Can you tell us? So we just made sure that everybody was good to go. We were on our marks, and then we were going to go over, and they had all of these steps going on. We literally treated them like students who were taking a course. So we had set up our expectations very clearly. What are they supposed to do? And that they have to do all the exercises and all that stuff. So you can see all these details. They were told that it won't take more than 20 minutes a day. And they were pretty okay with that, actually. They were pretty excited. They were going to get paid $100 at the end of the week. So why not? For sure. And do you want me to go into more details here, or this is clear? I think I've talked about this earlier, right? So I'll move over. So we explored students' opinions and in practice usage of Vimy. These were the questions that were asked were around these, that how is Vimy, what's going on, what do you like, what do you not like, when we would interject them. And we could get their candid feedback. And you'll see in just a bit on what the feedback looks like when we do a mobile ethnography, study. And let me see if and we also ask them all these questions. Would you be willing to pay for this particular part of WIMI, et cetera, et cetera. And then we finally also ask them, how would you describe WIMI if they were to be stepping into the shoes of WIMI's brand management as to what the product would be like? Think about it also as launching any software or any other technology product. If we can see what our potential users think, we can actually overcome the big glitches with these people's detailed feedback. And it's not like half a day, 1 day. It's for a full period of 1 week. Of course, we can extend it to more, but then it'll become too time consuming and cumbersome. But it's definitely a possibility. If we, let's say, wanted to do it for a month, it's a big time investment. You don't want to go wrong. And maybe 1 week is too less. We can always prolong it, but this was done for 1 week. Any questions so far? Okay, great. And so these are, for example, these are some of the approaches, these are some of the organizing and sharing part of it. This was one area where we wanted to get their feedback. Like, remember, we have folders in WIMI, we have documents, we have social media, we have different things inside one app. It was a one-stop shop. So for organizing and sharing, they said, and I hope I can play the video. Can I just show you a quick video here on how much time do I have? Ooh, okay. I'll just play a quick video. I think I've described most of the things, but this is what it looks like. Oops.
I organized them by color too, because I think subconsciously
Can you hear?
Finding them. For example, I know.
What's what do you want to do? Okay. Okay. Let's see if this works.
I organized my app on my phone using a folder function. I organized them by color too, because I think subconsciously I do a better job finding them. For example, I know Facebook's blue, so I just click on blue folder and there it is.
So this is the kind of feedback, as you can see, that we could get. People could take their in the moment feedback. We had told them to take a self video of how it was something, can you just tell me how you organize, take a video and share it the moment somebody had done it. So these were some parts of the assignment. Similarly, we had detailed feedback over a period of 7 days from 25 participants just when they were using. Okay, so it was pretty cool. And of course, you can see we got a lot of very rich data. These were some other things, WIMI impressions, initial feedback. These are literally cut and paste. These are transcribed from, we would sometimes interview them, like right when they were saying, hey, can I speak with you? And if we could do that, then these were things transcribed right from, either speaking with them or them taking a video. So we got very good, rich quality data, high quality data, which we could give back to WIMI management, saying, oh my God, they thought about WIMI impressions. Here are the initial impressions. So for example, I'll just read one of the impressions here. I definitely noticed the whole drag and drop thing with the WIMI desktop. So we had literally had a desktop on the phone, which other companies don't have. And this is what WIMI was trying to do. How it was set up more like a laptop. I may use it more. I don't know. I just have a pet peeve about typing on a phone and dragging and things like that. A lot of the times it doesn't even work. I just seem to be able to navigate things a lot easier on a laptop. So yes, we are very excited about our product. I love WIMI. I have just devised it, but will the target market like it? See, that's always one of the bigger problems, right? We are always in love with our product that we design, but the target market likes it or hates it. So we could get those kind of detailed feedback here. Again, more videos, organizing and sharing. So we had more videos here from people. It was just amazing, the kind of feedback and research that I got. I'm not getting into what is Vimy, but more like what can you do with something which is a mobile ethnography feature. Again, more Vimy folders, right? We have folders where we would store documents. So I have beautiful folders on my laptop, and I am able to get to all the documents. Can you do that on a phone? We always don't carry a laptop everywhere. So we again you can read this, but let's say overall the folder feature was super easy to use and really intuitive. Can we make a product like that for the phone? And it was easy to use and intuitive. I caught on pretty quick. It was really useful to be able to use all those tabs. I wasn't sure how to rename my folder, so that's a problem. But that was a pretty minor inconvenience. So again, the management gets all this detailed feedback. I'm going to move pretty quickly. More exploration. We got just a lot of data. This is the conclusion and managerial implications. The specific in-the-moment insights through comments and videos through mobile ethnography offers results and reflections on launching a new app in a very unique way, something we as researchers could not do. And I think this is where the bridge comes between the industry and academia. Like we can probably work with the industries also. And, the academics can probably work with them to see here it makes a conceptual sense versus not. College market is very hungry for an app like Vimy. We found that out. Students are spending majority of their time socializing and interacting through their phone apps. So can Vimy maybe focus more on that? Okay. Currently, sharing and sending files requires too many steps. This was a problem for Vimy. So please don't get too excited about it. So they rely more on their laptops and tablets. The utility of Vimy was obvious. People were excited. And as students were surprised and delighted by the ease with which they could share and organize files, etc. And finally, this is for the management, the more strategy part of it. Those are more tactical. This is more strategic. We had asked students also, remember, to how the app could be improved. And somewhere we also had said that step into the shoes of a Vimy manager, product manager. So these were the common 4 themes: make Vimy easier to use, provide more tutorials. So they had quite a few. A lot of the feedback said the tutorials are very nice, but they said maybe have more tutorials around more clarity. Improve interface. So students suggested a range of ideas, which we got. So that was actually beautiful, from colors and fonts to scrolling and swiping. And integrate apps very seamlessly, particularly the social media apps that the students use the most. If students are your target market, and if they're going to use a social media app, maybe integrate them in a more seamless manner. And desktop versus folders, students were confused about the desktop's functionality. So why should we have a desktop on a phone? So if that is the key launching pad for this app, then we are really mistaken. It wouldn't take off. But if it is good and if we can improve it, bingo, we nailed it. So this is really what my presentation is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, congratulations. It must be huge effort. 7 days, 24/7, you are at your phone. Who is using? And probably I can get to interview when they're using. So primarily the concept of observing user behavior, it is common with tech companies who already launched their product. Like Facebook is watching me when I'm using the app and all that. So you're bringing the concept to pre-launch. Right?
Correct.
So you're bringing in design thinking plus making it more practical to get closer. But only one question: have you clearly seen that the earlier when you go to focus group, what your customers say and what they do are 2 different things.
Right.
Right. Has this been validated here when they are demonstrating the usage on the phone and when they're giving their feedback? Did you see the alignment and did it give you meaningful?
It was much more meaningful. And more specifically, I feel in the software or maybe the apps area, right? I mean, if you launch, let's say, a face wash, and you tell me to use it for a week, and then you put me in a focus group, I will totally say it was drying or not drying, it was good or not good. That's fine. But for an app like a thing or a software like thing, it's that in the moment thing. If you do a focus group with me after a week, I would have forgotten so much, right?
But are they giving? Is it just asking them, or you're really seeing how they?
I'm seeing over the shoulder. I'm able to see.
That is where that platform.
I'm
is
seeing
helping you.
because literally
Okay.
we could see, oh, the person really stopped at this point.
Okay.
And they were literally figuring out, they went back and forth. We could see that they were struggling with some things. We could also see that they were in a particular area of the app for a long time. So we were like, okay, wow, this is working. So we could definitely see their usage. Like I said, right? It's literally, I'll come behind you and I'll see what are you doing on your cell phone. I'm able to see your cell phone. What are you reading? That's we could see that.
I think that OTS platform is quite powerful.
Yeah, OTS platform enabled us to do that. And there's one more competitor with OTS, I think.
Is this iterative? Did you go back to them after implementing the suggestions?
We did interviews actually. So, I mean, I had to make this short, this presentation. We did detailed interviews post 1 week. We did detailed interviews also with each of the participants.
Okay.
That was a separate thing. So I didn't want to get that here because this is a mobile ethnography focus.
Sure. Thank you so much.
You're
Any
welcome.
questions from?
Yep.
Yeah, please.
Sure.
No.
Thank you. Mostly coming from, firstly, it's a great idea. I mean, it's fantastic to look at the usability part from this dimension. The few things which I'm wondering about is that coming from IT space, that we do a lot of these things already. For example, we have start from ground zero, what we call as UAT, user acceptance testing, where we call the intended users and see what they're doing overall. And with mobile ethnography, what I will expect, and which was one of your point, is that in UAT we'll get the big issues, like drag and drop, and like we want a mobile device kind of application, not a desktop kind of application. In this kind of situation, I will expect that there are more nuances which should come out overall. That this color might be something different, or this button should be slightly on this side because my thumb is here, and so on. From your work with Vimy, how much such nuances was found which would not have been found otherwise with traditional methods like prototyping, focus group?
What is
UAT?
the other method that you're describing, sir? The first one, what is the name of
User acceptance testing, UAT.
User
Acceptance testing.
acceptance testing, okay?
Typically, it is a B2B style of working where we call the end users who are going to work the product, or give them free, or they do it from wherever they like, and they give a feedback on the product. Generally, it's guided and non so guided as well. So they use the product and they give the feedback.
Are you able to see them use it live?
We also provide them softwares to record what they're doing as an artifact of the outcome. So, for example, at least when I worked with HP, they have a product called Sprinter. So you launch the Sprinter, you start doing whatever you want to do, and Sprinter will create an outcome. It will record if you want to create a defect, you want to, there's a usability issue and all. That's possible. That's typically a business way of handling UAT overall. It takes it further. It also creates, let's say, at least in the desktop space, you have a lot of forms, right? And the person who's doing the entry, he will not like to fill all the form to see whether something is working or not. So it also automates a lot of things for you to ensure that you're actually testing for the meaningful part. So here, my question is that what are the nuances which not have been captured by traditional methods overall? Or you felt, okay, there's no point thinking about traditional method because this is something which is exciting and new.
Right. So, I don't know if I can answer this question that well because I'm not familiar with the other UAT method as much. But all I can say is, if I want to reach a person who's just trying to use a new app on their phone or software, and if we can't track them, and I don't know how the UAT works, but here, you could literally launch this. You could literally have users all over the world and still be able to look over their shoulder on the app and all the different nuances on, like you said, thumb, fingers. I don't know if we were able to use it. This is the implementation part that Joanna would know more. If we could, I don't think we were able to see their fingers and all, but that's where they would take the video. But all we could do was, some of these videos are somebody's lying in their bed, and while a lot of us lie down on our beds and use the phones. If I'm lying down in my bed and I just used it, and I'm so comfortable, I'm happy, or whatever. I've just used it, and I'll take a self video. This was so good, this was so cool, but I was so bummed by this particular, a specific of the app, area of the app. So those were the kind of things we could see. I don't know if you're able to see this through the UAT. Every single movement and the moment the user gets in the app, I know that person G got on the app. So I'm already alert. It's not like I have to be always seeing over the shoulder, but I will get a ping as a researcher. Oh, user G just got on the app. So I'm like alert right now. And maybe we are 2-3 researchers. So somebody is looking at the other user. Not everybody is on the app at all points in time. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but I don't know the UAT method as much. This is more for app launches. And so many apps are being launched every day, right? And a lot of good businesses, small businesses, everybody would launch an app. So we could get a lot of other nuances. We could interject, we could text them, and they could text back, like, what went wrong here? Why did you quit the app? Can I just text you? So they would say, oh, this was so frustrating, or I'm busy right now. So some of those things we were able to get.
I think that answers the question. Typically, I mean, my guess is that such kind of testings were typically very common in the desktop application space. I mean,
Okay.
For example, and the industry evolved, right, overall. So in desktop application space, it is very common to ensure that a person is, whatever he's doing in the application, he records, and if they're stuck, I mean, somebody's stuck, then he or she creates a defect. I mean, typical ITL model of management of things. But with mobile devices where you have no control or you have less control, I think this model worked well. Because, and also if there is a mechanism, I'm not sure how the software works, OTS software works, but if it's also having some nuances about happy path or not so happy path taken by somebody, or somebody who is thinking too much while doing something on the screen, if tracks that the delay in the user's response, then it's even better outcome. Why somebody's thinking so much here?
Right.
The button is simply there, you just click on it.
Right.
So
Right.
those
Yeah.
things are typically, I think this is a unique and fantastic concept for mobile world.
Right. It's more for the mobile, because not all of us are always on our laptops. We are walking around with a mobile, and I'm using an app. So let's say I'm walking around, let's say Amazon wants to test a new thing on their app. And I'm not going to carry my laptop, but I'm in the store. So let's say if I'm comparing prices or this product here and what is it with Amazon, if I'm able to do that comparison, they probably, if they know or don't know, those are some of the nuances again that I don't know. If I don't think I'm tracking their GPS location, because we promised a lot of anonymity here, and anonymity and privacy.
Maybe one, I'm not sure whether they're looking at it, but one idea forward would be VR ethnography.
VR ethnography.
Yes.
Virtual reality.
Yeah, because, at least from retail companies are already looking at it, but at least for the gaming companies, because I was taking example of my son, and he's like, whenever we go to a studio, he's hooked up into VR for the games. So, after looking at your presentation, I never got this idea, but when you gave that VR ethnography could also be one next step or next transition from this, and this will be ahead of time. So I'm also part of the panel discussion about academia industry relationship. And what bothers me currently, if I look at the number of people here and look at the number of people up there, is a clear example of disconnect. And there's a lot of interesting discussion which is happening here, which people in our track are missing.
Right. Yes. Definitely. Yeah. So and this is also where academia could step in. In this, can we tie in psychology with this? Like some of you were saying, right? Happy path, this path, that path. Can we get some of the maps, psychological maps around how is this app making me feel? So some of that, I'm sure this is all more research, further research, future research, can be, the neural thing is also so in. So tying this in with neural, it'll be very exciting actually.
Fantastic idea, actually.
Yeah, getting the concept of, an MVP and testing it closer to the customer. And like he was saying, with metaverse coming in, I think there are a lot more opportunities to understand customer better and improve
discuss this with my husband. He's actually at Meta in the virtual reality labs. So it's very interesting, but sure, in 5 years, we will all be wearing the VR headsets, because I've tried the Quest 2. It's phenomenal. So I wouldn't want to do Zoom anymore on a 2D surface when I can see you all sitting in this room while I'm in San Francisco. How much better can it get than that? So surely, how does the VR headsets, they're expensive right now. How will they compare with, how will they be in the future? and the paths to improve that and the experience there. I think this tied in with more, upgrades, I'm sure will be the future, will be the way to go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sweta.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody. It was interesting and we had some good discussions here. And we'll be meeting post lunch at 1:30. We have research paper presentation number 4. Yeah,
Yes.
so you can probably load your presentation, but we will, it's already loaded. Yeah. Thank you all. So I think we'll meet at 1:30 post lunch. Yes. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started on our afternoon session, post-lunch session, research presentations. We have our fourth research paper for the day by Mrinmoy Roy and his PGDM student Paneri Desai, right? Mrinmoy is a PhD scholar in operations research and management from Mitchell School of Business, Lovely Professional University, and currently working as assistant professor of health and hospital management, right? In Institute of Health Management Research, Bangalore, right? And he's a pharmacy graduate with MBA in international business and MSc computer science. And he's a certified good clinical practice and good pharmacy practice professional from Faculty of Pharmaceutical Medicine, Royal College of Physicians, UK. And he's also worked with key organizations like Cipla, Lupin, Glenmark Pharmaceuticals before joining IIHMR. And he's also worked with AstraZeneca Pharma as strategic marketing manager, right? We would really want, we are really excited to hear about the concept of developing an unbiased AI, and we are happy to see that it is in quotes. And this is particularly for predicting Alzheimer's much before the onset of its real symptoms. Thank you so much. Please.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Yeah. And for the online participants also. So thank you so much for the session chair, Professor Lakshmi and Dr. Spurti, and thank you, Shubha ma'am also. And I'd like to thank other organizers also. So the thing is, what we are going to discuss today is Alzheimer's disease, which is starting with dementia, and also Alzheimer's is the 60 to 70% of the dementia. If we take the statistics of worldwide, there are 55 million people already actually affected, and every year 10 million people are added up on this. So in that, like, it's a 7th highest mortality factor all over the world. And not only that, there's a problem in detecting it. We don't even recognize that who is the person who will be getting dementia or who is the person who will be getting Alzheimer's in the context of the disease, whether they'll be developing it or not. Maybe they start with forgetting things, start with forgetting relationships. Okay, start with forgetting like whom they met and what actually they eat. Maybe in the lunch also. It starts with like that. We have seen movies like Gajni. It is not like Gajni kind of thing, but it is movies like Uri, where the lady was forgetting where she's supposed to go. And even in the movie like Okay Janu, okay, that's a remake of a South movie. Okay, so the thing is, they are shown like how they cannot even recognize who the person is she's talking to. It's just like similar to maybe I'm not, means maybe like I cannot find out where I belong to. So that is how it starts with 10 to 20 years before the clinical symptom appears. So here is our research, me and my student. What we are doing is, it's a proof of concept mainly. And we are doing actually working on the algorithm part and also the decision like science part also, and design science part, even developing a product particularly to, and worldwide, if I say right now, the status is there are few studies actually happened with PET scan, positron emission tomography. Okay, but we are talking here about fMRI, which is functional MRI. Okay, so I'll be starting with the background of what is MRI and what is functional MRI once again. So with that, with the setting up the context, I'm just taking a few minutes to set up the context because we have to know that what we are dealing with, first of all, because it's a healthcare and also medical part. So in that case, like if I, it's not actually changing. Okay, yeah. So this is the statistic what I was talking about. And not only that, it is also even a problem with the Indian patients and mild cognitive impairment. That is starts with the forgetting things. These are the symptoms mainly what we are dealing with, and it starts with 10 to 20 minutes, 10 to 20 years before the clinical symptom appears. And that is how it happens. And it is once considered as one of the public health problem that is seriously affecting millions of people right now. And not only that, the risk of developing AD increases with age. So if you ask me, like more 50 to 60 group of age of people, they'll be seeing in here in the Southeast Asian countries like India, China, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. So in that case, we are very much prone to this kind of disease. Okay, so we don't know what is the cause, but that is the thing, like what we are going to do in terms of detecting it. So in that case, what the people with AD care for? Maybe in home, maybe a nursing assistant will be there every time, 24/7, 365 days, whether it is affordable. Maybe for some people, but for not for everyone. And assisted living facilities like hospice and also for nursing homes. And if I say like what is happening for the outer context of the patients, what is happening in the brain of the patients. So we are talking about neurons. In the morning also, there are hybrid neurons. You are talking about that, how we are creating it. So what is happening during this scenario where neuron getting dried up, if we say in a layman's understanding. The thing is the oxygen level and also the glucose level, because we already heard about that, yes, our brain cannot withstand. Oh, sorry, then, okay, yeah. Okay, so if I be here, then it's okay? Okay, so most of the time what happens, like we say that, yes, if we are getting sunstrokes. Why we are getting sunstrokes? Because the water content is not reaching up to that level and water is actually carrying forward oxygen. So our brain cannot withstand more than 5 minutes without oxygen. That's why we are getting strokes. Same thing happens for the neurons in the molecular level. It's getting dried up, and without that water molecule, without that oxygen molecule, they cannot communicate with each other. They cannot send the signals, which is the calcium, which is the even NaCl also, like potassium and chlorine. By that way, they're actually exchanging the informations. Okay, so that is how it happens. And this is the thing what can be detected through fMRI or MRI, which is as of now done through PET scan. Okay, so the changing brain, if you see, this is the PET scan copy of the left hand side, which is the healthy brain or normal brain. And here is the PET scan copy of Alzheimer's disease brain. So it is getting dried up. If you see, most of the part is getting blue colored. That is how it is. And where there is oxygen, that is coming up as red and yellow color. So preclinical AD. So preclinical AD actually starts, as I said, forgetting things. Okay, we forget our keys. That is not like everybody is getting AD or everybody getting dementia, because in our usual life, we are forgetting so many things. Even we forget our spouse anniversary date or something like that, and we are getting beaten up. So it happens. Okay, but the thing is here, the thing is like science of AD first noticed in the endothemal cortex, which is here or here like this. So it is getting dried up. That is the blue part. Okay, so it can be detected through fMRI and MRI, where there is very minimal studies have been done as of now. Okay, so then it comes like it is engulfing the entire brain part by part, which is the mild to moderate AD. Then it comes severe AD, where there is huge requirement of somebody which will be holding the hand and taking the person to anywhere he or she wants to go. That is how the things actually severe. That is the severity of the pathogenesis of the disease. So here is like the thing is like pictures of brain which is degrading. So these are the scan copies. All are like that. So it is becoming like a kind of a coconut. If we see in from our outer world or even layman's understanding. So a healthy brain becomes a coconut. Okay, and it is getting dried up from the inner end. So that is how it is. So these are the warning signs. Okay, so how like memory or loss of the disrupt daily life, even forgetting relationships. Okay, confusion with dates, and also not only that, cannot recognize the currency. Like for them, 5 rupees and 5 lakh rupees is same. They doesn't even recognize that what it is. Even they recognize that yes, it is a currency, but they cannot differentiate it. That's how it happens. Even mood swings and changes in personality. Okay, maybe the person cannot even remember that what you are saying or he or she was saying just 5 minutes back. It happens. Okay. So that is the thing, like importance of early diagnosis. What actually we can achieve by diagnosing it. So that can be happening like we can involve a lot of people in terms of treating them through proper medications. Because by the time the person will be finding out that the person will be happening or having this disease, it will be already 90% gone. We cannot even rejuvenate the brain cells or the neurons. Okay, we cannot oxygenate them. We cannot send some fluid which will be acting as kind of a exchanging information between the neurons. So it happens in this way. And also there is an opportunity to create some database system, which is we are lacking. Frankly speaking, in India, healthcare data is fragmented everywhere. 80 to 90% is fragmented. That's why the problem is actually we are facing for privacy security as well as EHR and EMR. That is why all the IT companies are working on that aspects, right? So these are the stages, like mild cognitive impairment. It starts with all individuals' age and education depends on them. It doesn't mean that it will be only happening through the 50 or 60s. It may happen earlier also. And if we detect that, there is a possibility that we can treat the patient well. Maybe it is actually reversible in that stage, kind of a cancer kind of thing, if we say. So here is the thing like early stage, then mild stage, middle stage, and also later stage. So these are the things like how we can detect it. There are some questions what neuropsychiatrists, psychologists are asking to the patients and their beneficiaries. How they're asking like forgets material, just read, losses or misplaces objects. This starts with early stage. Then comes middle, like ask same questions over and over. Every time it's repeated, like kind of a cassette phans jana. Matlab ki if the song is moving, if the cassette you're playing, it will be just repeating, almost similar. Then late stage, like unable to communicate with words, becomes incontinent. Okay. So then comes how we are diagnosing it. A detailed patient history. Okay, we are getting the case history of the patients, maybe longitudinal data. Okay, that is what I'm telling, like we are lacking. Information from family and friends, how they're behaving. Then also physical and neurological exams and lab tests, and neuropsychological tests and imaging tools, such as CT scans, PET scans, MRI. So as of now, all over the world, there is only PET scans and few MRIs been done to actually gather the data. But what is our idea? Our idea is fMRI, which is far more advanced than the PET scan and MRI. Okay, so how it is advanced, we'll be discussing that thing. First of all, understand the physics of it. Like we have heard in our +2, right? So we are creating or resonating some sound and we are getting the distance, okay, of sea level or something like that. Same thing happens for this thing. It is almost similar. So MRI is a cool and useful picture. These are the pictures which is we are getting through 2D slices extracted from 3D, which is volumetric image. And the resolution, as I say, there is a huge number of data is required for generating this kind of like if you want to train the data or train the algorithm for this kind of data. Okay, so fMRI is also about functional and temporal structure. How it is different from MRI? So it is only anatomical structure for MRI. For fMRI, it is metabolic function. And also it is a bold signal, which is actually blood oxygen level dependent. Okay, if there is oxygen, then it will be actually finding out, yes, the neuron is working, the neuron is active. If there is no oxygen, it will be finding that, yes, the neuron is passive, it will be not working. So in that case, also studies water molecules, hydrogen nuclei. So as I said, it's a MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. That means it is creating a magnetic field. We are sending one signal, then after that, that H molecule or the hydrogen molecule giving it back. By that way, we are finding the entire thing. That is how the entire thing happens. And also here, it calculates level of oxygen. That is the difference between, basic difference between MRI and fMRI. And the third point is views high resolution of the difference between tissue types with respect to space. For MRI, here's view the tissue difference with respect to time. So it's a kind of, as I said, longitudinal data. Once again. Okay, so here is the thing, pictorially, actually I have represented. So one active neuron is having oxygen, passive neuron doesn't have oxygen. This is the molecular structure, oxygenated and deoxygenated. Just simple chemistry, okay. And here have different magnetic resonance for MRI as well as fMRI, and for oxygen as well as oxygenated as deoxygenated. And we are distinguishing it by MRI. That is how we are getting the data. That is the process. So what is functional imaging? Once again, like we are getting the bold signal and also we are getting activation dependent on the signal distorts. As I said, we are sending the signal is actually striking into the hydrogen molecule coming back. Okay, by that we are measuring it. And neural activity consumes oxygen. So on activation, there is a momentary decrease in blood oxygenation. So there is one more problem. The thing is, these kind of images or this kind of like signals is very noisy. Like if we remember, we are all 80s keys maybe. So in that case, I'm 80s keys. So the thing is, we are remembering Doordarshan, how it is starting their own transmission, right? They're starting with hazy sound sometimes. So that PET scan or MRI will be that kind of noise. So to finding out or sensitivity or maybe like blood flow peaks after 6 seconds, that is how I'll be getting it. We'll be getting through fMRI, which is can be reduced. I'll be talking into that in my next couple of slides. It is already there. So this is the synopsis. This is the molecular action, how it has been done. And if you want me to take, but with the interest of time, I'm just flowing it through. The thing is, I have just given an overview like how it's been done. It's all are there. Even slides we can also share. Okay. So this is the thing, like we are getting the entire thing longitudinally. See here with the respect of time, we are just measuring it. And here you see like signal increase caused by change in H2O surroundings. And more oxygenated hemoglobin is present, then it will be giving different signal, which is we can detect. That is how fMRI can be detected. So this is how we are getting the entire data. These are the graphs. So how it's been 3D imaging consists of 20 to 30 slides of that. Then one 3D slice contains 64 into 64 voxels. That means that image, as I said in the morning also, like can be collected in the PAC server, then can be actually interoperable, also can be used with the text. And then after that, it can be trained to the machine learning algorithms. Okay, so like that, physically each voxel corresponded to 2 millimeter into 2 millimeter into 2 millimeter. So all these things depends on these three-dimensional images. Okay, so how the data pre-processing happens. So it is each voxel acquired at a different time point of TR. Okay, so that is means like we are talking about iterations. Here also we are doing same kind of thing, the iterations. So many times, as I said, like we are sending one signal, the signal got struck into the hydrogen molecule, it is coming back. We are repeatedly doing that to finding out the mean, and also we are getting the data in that way. Okay, then head motion correction, like employ motion corrections algorithm, and also normalizations, like involves multiple of subjects and standard brain atlas developed. Then the objective is, it's a powerful technique. You already know, I have given the background also, and how it's been done to identify the cognitive state of the human subject when the patient or any victim who is actually having this kind of symptoms like forgetting things. If we can start that with those patients, maybe we can predict earlier, maybe 10 to 20 years earlier, which is actually our study 6 years only. As of now, we have not yet tested furthermore because we are in the development stage. So in that case, we can test more in terms of the longitudinal data. Okay, so that's how the things are, and popular classification techniques can be applied. Like there are IT peoples also here, so they can understand these things like Gaussian mean bias and also k-nearest neighbors and support vector machines. So we can train this kind of data with these algorithms, and we can develop that further. And next is the process. As I said, like this data is noisy, and this noise we have to remove. How we'll be removing the noise? I'm directly coming into multivoxel pattern analysis, which is MVPA, which is mainly response find voxels show statistically significant responses. They average the voxels, and also MVPA uses pattern classification algorithm. Okay, by that way, the voxels decode the pattern of brain activity, which is reducing the noise, increasing the sensitivity. So it's a novel idea once again. Like the thing is, it's been not been done. It's a proof of concept. It's a theory, but the thing is, you have to practicalize it mainly with the data. But data is not available as of now. I'll be talking about that also. The thing is, why fMRI? Once again, see if you see the pictures here. Okay, so this gives you the entire thing. It is not only taking the materialistic image or even the mainly like detecting the activity of neurons. It is also detecting the reflect blood flow. And even not only that, it is giving a clear demarcation of oxygenated versus deoxygenated blood. And it gives a above MRI best option to get brain mapping and retrieving the data. So as of now, no such study has been done. If we do it, that will be actually the first study in the entire world what can be done. But we need accurate data. We need the reprocessing of those data. Okay, so next is like earlier studies. As I said, it has been published in radiology. And by Ding et al., they done that study with PET scans. Okay, but PET scans images are only through proteins and glucose, not with oxygen. These studies are only done with this kind of thing, but we'll be not getting the enough data related to the neurons, because the neurons without oxygen are becoming passive. So by that way, the idea is we're getting the entire data to find out whether the person or the patient is suffering with AD or dementia. That will be only depend on fMRI. Okay, so how the things are like the brain of the persons with Alzheimer's, if you see, as I said, it just can resemble a coconut from the outside. Okay, but there is no water inside. So that is how it is. And this related earlier works, the study has been done with ADNI. Okay, so Alzheimer's Disease Neuroimaging Institute in US, they have taken up the data and they have trained their algorithm. They have actually got this entire thing, and they have once again get the entire prediction model with PET scan. So our idea is we'll be doing it, and even not only that, the entire algorithm has been tried with UCSF memory and aging data also. So the thing is, they only had PET scan data, but our idea is we'll be doing with fMRI. Okay, so this is the thing, like how we are getting ahead with design science research paradigm. We have accumulated theory, and also like we have accumulated scientific and engineering research alongside, and how we are developing the algorithm or product, that will be coming in the further slides. So as we know that we are talking about business, and also we are talking about like how we can make up a model in terms of the for the healthcare society as well, how it will be benefiting the society, and we can also earn some profit in that case. So this is the entire process. Like the algorithm should be accurate enough to give the entire prediction, and also training time, linearity, because it's a longitudinal study. So we'll be studying against the time, and number of parameters and number of features. So we have adopted this process from Muntian M. Their study is already there, which is actually they have done through design science research framework by performance analysis of the algorithms. And this is the thing, like we'll be undergoing this through phases, and almost actually going through the entire research work. And then right now we are in the actually developing stage, like literature review, then system analysis field, case study, and also artifacts engineering. We are actually thinking of developing some case reports also, like with similar kind of patients, maybe like number of patients, maybe we can tie up with the hospitals like Nimhans. Okay, I have spoken with some of the doctors where we can test that for the further development of the algorithm. So that's how the things are going. So what is the proof of concept? As I said, like it can be related through syncing it with BCI, which is brain computer interface. Okay, so, and it is an unbiased AI. So it is actually multi-layered clustering algorithm, what we are going to develop. And we need data for that. We'll be actually connecting with all the hospitals, which is mental, psychological, psychiatric hospitals. And even not only that, we can also take up some of the data from the America or maybe other developed countries to compare it. Okay, because these are already there in the open source like platforms. So this is the thing, like if you ask me like what I'm going to do exactly, so I have put it forward like this. So we'll be using this in terms of electrodes, which is their sensors in measuring the brain signals. It will be connected through amplifiers to reduce the noise and also increasing the sensitivity. So weak signals will be further more amplified. Then after that, computer to decode signals to controlling signals to cooperate device. So these will be having two dimensions, like recording the data reviewed at its electrodes and also interprets or decodes neural signal. So this is the process block diagram mainly, how we'll be accusing data. I've just told it already, I've discussed it. So data preprocessing required, feature extractions, and also training further for developing more accurate algorithm. So next is like online classifications. That is how it is, like multi-layered clustered algorithm will be using and transmit, and then after that control feedback. So as I said, like from the morning itself, I was talking about like EHR and AMR. So data privacy and security also can be taken over, right? So we need help from this gentleman, like we can collaborate on this, and I'm open for collaboration also for anyone, like they can collaborate with me for this research. And if you ask me about the product, like the problem is already there, I have discussed it. So existing alternatives we have already discussed. Cost structure, maybe we can talk about, but the thing is, solution is this thing, like functional MRI. It can detect up to 6 years earlier than diagnosis of the clinical symptoms. And key metrics will be process efficiency, program efficiency, longitudinal patient data to train algorithms. So this is all about the product. And then unique value proposition, as I said, early detection or disease progression. Like if we detect them early, we can treat them early. By that way, we can save the patients and we can save the like beneficiaries also. So even it will be reducing the cost in terms of public health. Okay, it can detect a lot earlier than what is actually there. Then like what will be customer segmentation, like mental hospitals, psychologists, psychiatrists, and also other doctors, maybe like consultant physicians. So the product idea is like this: patient will be coming, they are registering, then examinations will be done. Then after that, diagnosing. Then positive cases means they can go for immediate intervention. If there is no, it is negative, then they can go for screening for after 1 year. Maybe it can develop. Okay, we cannot tell right now. So also maintains a patient registry, which is not there as of now with the longitudinal data. So that can be done with EMR, EHR, or PHR, whatever. Thank you. Any questions? I'm open to. Yeah.
Because everybody said that he is just a case of like aging, and then we lost gradually him to Alzheimer. So I'm always been passionate to drive it. So I was actually thinking of a product idea where we can build some app where we can track the whole progression of Alzheimer's. But this becomes a very good research, the fMRI concept, what you are telling. So is the fMRI scan separate from the MRI scans on the 3D imaging, or like you're expecting?
It's almost similar, but the thing is we need some upgradation of the, means like what is MRI is already having. There are separate devices already available. Those are portable devices also. As I said, we are getting the functional MRI. Functional MRI means it will be getting the details of the oxygenation of the neurons.
Yeah.
So it will be further in depth.
Got it.
But MRI is actually overall. So fMRI is little bit penetration. That is how. And not only that, ma'am, the thing is in the morning itself, Ajay sir was telling about hardware and software. So I have listened to him. So the thing is, this is the hardware part. Software part is actually we are thinking of developing that. The thing is altogether parallelly we are developing. That is how the things are. And only few people are there, me and my student. So that is how actually I'm open to collaboration for that also.
Actually, one thing also what I knew is that in India, they say, is it correlated to vitamin D or something? Because they say that it is more in the Western countries than in India. So kind of correlation you have found of this disease, like it is related to the vitamin D, or say somebody has diabetes. So all these things, or they are more into.
Since I'm a pharmacist, the thing is, I worked companies such as Cipla, Lupin, Glenmark, and AstraZeneca. I was also involved with the Covishield vaccine launch here in India. So the thing is, what I can say is vitamin D can be not can be cure. It can be actually, the thing is, as a complementary fact, like for all the diseases, including cancer. Maybe it can develop or it can actually help for further elevating the disease, means like to avoid the disease. But the thing is, whether diabetic patients are getting comorbid conditions, that is already, there are research papers already there, because they are having already some kind of problems in their own anatomy and physiology because of hormonal imbalance, as well as because of glucose and insulin imbalance as well. So it may happen for the pregnant woman also, if the pregnant woman is developing that, because there is also gestational diabetes for 9 months. Okay, because of estrogen and progesterone imbalance. It may happen. Who can tell? There are studies. The thing is, if I want to study in that, then it will be like we are just debating the objective. So here the objective is like that we can study with the dementia and like maybe like we find out Alzheimer's, okay, and we can detect it further earlier, like 10, 20 years, not 10, 20 years, at least 6 years is okay. Means we can actually save the patients.
So basically why I'm asking, because there are many doctors who evaluate this, but then they say that, okay, it might not be dementia. So that's what we faced.
Yeah.
And in that phase itself, if this fMRI, what you are telling,
Yes.
so the other way of collecting the data can also be, there are people who actually think that they may have dementia or not. So they will also be probably some application or app or mobile app, something, they upload their images or something and you get it collected because they are the one who want to get it scanned.
Yeah. So there are apps, very few, 1 or 2 all over the world. Okay, just like that depression and anxiety apps. Okay, but very few apps are giving accurate data. Okay, means how we can rely on those kind of apps. Okay, the background thing is here. As I said, like it should be a process of how the patient going to the diagnosis. Then after that, if it is not getting diagnosed properly, maybe the negative, okay, then they can once again reappear for after 1 year or maybe 6 months. Depends on the stage of the patient. Depends on their beneficiaries, like how they can carry them.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
one question, sorry,
You
sorry, I
can.
just jumped the gun. We were pretty much discussing during lunch the same kind of situation. So what I wanted to know is, how do you get to the data sets? One is through the mobile, one is through the hospitals that you go through. But world over, there are regulations on PIIs and how PIIs have to be shared and things like that. So how do you get to the data? Because data is very important. And you said 6 years and 10 years. So what is the number of data sets that you are actually getting, which will tell you that, okay, 10 years, I can predict
So the
in 10
thing
years.
is, right now it is under POC. Okay, so that is how actually I just wanted to discuss with him, because these questions are helping us, particularly to develop further, like how we can develop the products. The thing is, while developing the algorithms, we'll be training that with the American data itself right now. But to register and then after that getting the data, we need to get passed through HIPAA and other compliances.
Right.
That is what is required.
Hmm.
And not only that, there is a draft for data privacy and security from Indian government, which is going to pass maybe another 2 years, or maybe I think you can tell from a BDM perspective, like maybe 6 months or 1 year down the line. So through that, if we can get through it, then it will be easier for us or companies who wants to actually have a venture capital or something want to invest on that aspects.
All right.
Similar question, but mainly on the data aspect, because when you build that algorithm, you would have taken, let's say, last 5-year data or maybe 10-year data, and based on that, you have studied that pattern. And then you're saying, okay, now this is the pattern, and then we say it's dementia or maybe Alzheimer's. So that part I wanted to understand when you collect the data. So related to the madam question also. So for the early detection. So now we are doing the diagnosis. But how did you come into that pattern? Because there also we can find the root cause, saying what is the root cause of the detection.
Yeah, so the thing, as I said, like right now there is no Indian data, but very few worldwide data from America itself. So the thing is, we will be developing the algorithm, and during that we'll be going for agile process. The thing is, every time with small like kind of a population, we'll be training the data, training the ML actually mainly. Then after that, we'll be finding out whether it is getting the trends or not. So that is our main purpose. And maybe during that time, if we start the registry, maybe we can apply that algorithm to the Indian data sets also.
Yeah.
So maybe-
And I think coming to causation, like vitamin D is causing or whatever, I don't know if it is a tag data. He's talking about deep learning. So it's
Right.
mostly anomaly detection and then classifying.
Yeah.
So you will not be able to know these are the factors that is
Right.
causing, but definitely they can classify dementia versus, you
Because
know,
structural.
that's the only thing. I don't think deep learning really gives you that kind of, if like ask me,
No,
I am
there will be
very,
vitamin D test along with research.
econometrics
Yeah,
is
so
my
if you
favorite. So
do
if one
little bit
uses
on
that
that,
kinds,
Yeah, if you do a little bit that rat path correlation, because we did for oncology. So if you look into biopsy and then imaging and try to correlate, then you'll get. that
then
information.
probably, yes,
Exactly,
yes.
exactly.
Then across similar features, probably you can get that, but I think it is still in the,
Yeah. So the thing
Yeah.
is, right now the plan is like we'll be right now in POC. The thing is, we'll be generating some more papers on that and more data sets in terms of that, and training the data sets which is already available in open source. And parallelly, we'll be training the data, getting the data from the repository of Indian patients. We have to tie up with the hospitals. That is what our plan is.
But
you.
without really having the technology in hand, and how did you try to come up with that number 6?
The thing is, right now, the registry we can maintain for the
Right.
Indian patients.
Okay.
That will be pen and paper only. Okay. Later, we can feed it up in the like database system.
Yeah. So once
So-
you have the technology in hand and then you evaluate it and then you understand how soon we are able to test it and test a patient and try to understand if he has Alzheimer's or no.
Yeah.
Only when you evaluate it, right? So
Yeah.
that could be a little misleading when you try to
Sure,
present if you
definitely.
have number 6 or unbiased AI.
Yeah.
That's one more thing. So I don't think in this fundamental stage, we are yet to say that it's unbiased.
Because it is.
bias in the deep learning kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
It is bias and variance. That is the difference.
Oh, the
Yeah.
technical.
It is not the-
Okay.
it is
The
not-
ethical
Yes,
aspect
yes.
is what I was.
I think you are asking about false positive and false negative,
Right.
So right now we cannot able to say
Exactly.
that.
We don't have an evaluation
Yes,
test. So,
It will
okay, I
take
was
some
wrong.
time. It is just an initial stage,
Right.
like the 0 stage, if we say, for the development of the product. So just an idea, which
Right.
is in paper, coming into reality. So that is
Right.
how the things are.
Right.
Because never it's been done in India, and outside only very few studies are done.
Got that.
One question.
Yeah. Yes. That is what. There is a company called Map My Genome here in Bangalore. Okay. They're doing that almost similarly like Map My India. Like you want to find out your house in Google Map, you can find it out. Same thing happens for, they are creating a kundali of our genes. Okay. They're telling that what kind of disease we are prone to. Okay. And they are giving the entire thing that, yes, the predictions are like that. So you should not have this kind of food. You should have this kind of exercises like that. So that is furthermore, the things are like further functionality. But the thing is right now what we have to do is, see, longitudinal data as I spoken about, we are actually going for a time series thing. And also we will be doing with lot of normal patients, and means like, I'll be not telling them abnormal, but the thing are, they are actually different than the Alzheimer's. We should have those data also to differentiate, to create that, to train the algorithm, so that then, as ma'am said, like there should be an app. That app will be having this kind of background, then app will be giving the entire part of this and questionnaires part, like how we can get it.
One question, what is the percentage of accuracy? Has that been set?
For PET scan, it was, there were 3
For
sets
your
of.
fMRI, the Alzheimer's,
It's
you're
still
still,
under
you're
development. Yeah.
okay, with the
So-
existing data, you cannot
There
give
is
the
very
levels.
few, maybe 5-10 data sets that we cannot train it. So the things are like we
Okay.
are starting and repositorying it, and we are just putting into maybe vault, as I said in the morning also. So
Yeah.
like that way.
Yeah, extending Dr. Lakshmi's thought, I was going there as well. So because we were trying to come up with an app for autism spectrum disorder patients in the US. And we didn't get the data that we wanted, but
Yes.
even to get that data, the proof of concept wouldn't work because it has to be evaluated for our claims to have some value.
Yeah.
So that was a huge issue, especially in the healthcare area. Without a prototype in hand, it could be very difficult for you to get the data or whatever to evaluate it or test it.
And to have the prototype, you need the data. It's like,
yeah,
And it's a cycle, actually, vicious cycle. So the thing is, what my idea is, will be developing registry here in Indian data.
okay.
So that will be helping us parallelly, like we can create a differentiation of the US data and American data also. That was my idea. So that is how we can develop further. I think I'll.
One question I have.
Yeah.
So here, I mean, MRI is not a common thing, right? Like people, like any doctor would suggest you have to do it. So because you're basing your whole AI on the fMRI images if you generate, right? But I think we should, I'm just thinking, like, don't you have to focus when the doctor should suggest a patient to undergo an MRI? Because that's where that 6 years gap, I mean, I don't know your story which you said, right? Like they might not even diagnose, you have to do an fMRI. So even though we have this wonderful product, I'm just wondering.
Yeah. So the thing is, here comes the thing. Like I'll be telling you about diabetic retinopathy. Retinopathy develops very earlier than the diabetic patients actually getting into diabetes. And one more thing, there's a myth with diabetes because I comes from their family because my father is a diabetic. The thing is, when any person gets to know that a person is diabetic, 50% of beta cells already gone. That means we are asking the remaining beta cells to produce that much number of insulin, which is required for breaking down the glucose, what we are taking our daily food. Okay, so same thing happens for dementia and Alzheimer's also. The thing is, if we detect in terms of this product, like when we are applying that, maybe in hospitals or anywhere, it should not be for all the patients who've been given from the doctors. Okay, maybe for all the patients, it should be open for all. Okay, because dementia or Alzheimer's cannot define the age group. Like it cannot be finding out for 50 or 60 years old. It can happen a little bit earlier also. The forgetfulness, we are also forgetting a lot of things. So I'm not telling that I am a dementia patient or something like that, but it may happen. And it's also a kind of a social stigma. That is how it is. Like people do not want to recognize it and do not want to tell about, do not want to share. So how to break that myth, how to go ahead with testing those patients and predicting this. That is what the entire concept of developing a product. Yeah. Yeah.
I know one thing is there is one fact code. So what is the probability to capture your board in 10 years of time?
Yes.
Yes. Similarly, you have something like an app or a web or something where they can give their questionnaire kind of.
Yeah.
And the person is getting suspected or their family members that this person can get into the right. When they come to you and they share the data with consent, so that data viral.
Yes.
You have your data to study the person.
Definitely, ma'am. It's a good idea. I can take it up and I can add it up on that. Really.
Similar things on the cancer detection. Which,
Yeah, it's already there. It's already there. It's already there. The questionnaire part, it's really good. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mrunmayee.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
yeah, please.
So as we see MRI, so patient is staying in the MRI.
Yeah, that Siemens machine inside. Yeah.
So this this fMRI is increasing the time?
No. It's actually like 15-20 minutes only because the machine is similar. The thing is the resonating factor, like we are sending a kind of a physics, as I said, like we'll be sending a signal. The signal will be just striking into the hydrogen molecule of the water. If there is water, then there will be definitely hydrogen molecule. Then it will be coming back, giving us the signal. Okay. That is how same happens for MRI also, but it will be taking overall structure. It will not giving or penetrating that thing. Right? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mrunmayee. Thank you, everyone. It was wonderful.
Contacts of,
Yeah.
email ID of-
Happy to collaborate. Actually, I have.
I think they will also share their presentations and details. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Just a moment before Lakshmi could thank you formally. So I'd like to present a small memento to Professor Lakshmi, who's served as a session chair for this session and who's also shared many insightful insights into each of your projects. And I hope all of the insights and the feedback and the discussion that we had in this session would help you in taking your project to the next level. So thank you so much, Professor Lakshmi. Here's a small.
Hey, thanks, Vivian. Thanks.
I'll connect you on that. I think I'm not carrying my car. My job teaching in my college. Okay. And also. Thank you. Thank you. So you all have your. Because I'm finding it out and difficult. That is like I have to convince them to follow. And they don't want to actually get into that thing. So it will be- yeah.